Okay, this is lesson 8.2b in intermediate algebra. We're still working with equations of a line, and we are ready for example 5. It says find the equation of the line that passes through the points -3, let me get a pen going here, -3, 3, and 3, -1. Alright, so I'm looking for an equation of a line. I've got some line that goes through those points. -3, 3, and 3, -1. Goes through those 2 points. What I'm looking at doing is I'm trying to find the name of this line. What is the equation of that line that actually does that? Okay, it's easy for me to graph that line because I'm given 2 points right here, and I just graph that point, draw a line to connect them, and I'm good to go. Alright, so here's the key. When you're asked to graph any line, you need to know the slope and you need to know the y-intercept. If you know those 2 pieces of information, you can easily graph the line. Alright, and you can easily write the equation. So given 2 points, we're going to find the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, so if you remember, to find the slope, this was a little while ago, we took y2 minus y1, like that. Remember doing that? Alright, so let's move this down here, and we're going to call this x1, y1, x2, y2. I like to do that so I don't get them confused. Alright, that being the case, y2 is -1 minus y1 is 3. x2 is 3 minus x1 is -3. So -1 minus 3 is -4, and 3 minus -3 is 3 plus 3 is 6, and that reduces to -2/3. Alright, so we just found out that our slope is -2/3. Okay, so let's see if we can get rid of a whole bunch of stuff here. So our slope is -2/3. That's done. Now all we have to do is find the y-intercept, the b part of our y equals mx plus b. Okay, so we're looking for that. What do we have? We have y equals -2/3. That's our slope, x plus b. Okay, so we're looking for that. Alright, how do we find that? Well, we have 2 points here, here and here. And in each one of these points, we have an x and a y. So we take one of these points, doesn't matter which one. Let's just take the first one now. And instead of writing x and y here, I'm going to put in -3 and 3. So let's do this in yellow. So y is the second number, so 3 equals -2/3 times the first number. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one I took. In fact, let's do it twice. Let's use this one too. So y is -1 equals -2/3. What's my x? 3 plus b. Alright, so let's take all this, kind of get it out of the way here. Move that up, move this up. Alright, so what we're doing here is we are using both of the points that we are given in the problem, just to show you that it doesn't matter which one you use, you're still going to get the same answer. Okay, this multiplied, -2 times -3 is +6/3 plus b. So 3 equals 2 plus b. Subtract 2, so b is 1. So my equation then would be y equals, what did I say the slope was? -2/3 x plus 1. Okay, so I took the 1 and I put it there. Alright, let's use this one over here. Negative 1 equals, multiply this, negative 6/3 plus b. So negative 1 equals, negative 6/3 is negative 2. Add 2 to both sides. And this gives me 1 equals, those go away, b. So notice my b is the same for either one of them. So it doesn't matter which of those. In fact, let's get some stuff out of the way and go back up here to the top. Remember when we first started this in the green, these were the bits of information that they gave you. So I used negative 3, 3 for an x and a y. I used 3, negative 1 for an x and a y in order to find b, and I got 1 for b when I used either one of those. So anyway, hopefully that'll help, and we'll jump to example 6. So I showed you that slope-intercept form was y equals mx plus b. And there's also another form of an equation. It's called the standard form of an equation, and it's written as ax plus by equals c. Okay? And I can write this in this form or this in this form. Okay? So for example, if I have y equals negative 2/3 x plus 1. That's in slope-intercept form. Let's say I want to write it in this form right there. Alright, so what I do here is I get my 1 and I move it over. Okay. Then I multiply both sides by this 3 right there. And I have 3 times y minus 1 equals negative 2x. I distribute. I move the x and y to the same side of the equation because notice over here my x and y are then on the same side. So I'm going to move this up so I can keep going. Alright, so I'm going to add 2x to both sides. Because I got rid of that. And I'll move this 3 over. Okay, that is standard form. And again, standard form is a number times x plus a number times y equals a number. So C, B, and A represent numbers. We don't know what they are, but in this case they're 2, 3, and 3. Okay, so that brings us to example number 6, and that will give us a chance to try this out. Alright, so we've got an equation, or we've got a line that goes through this point, and the graph is perpendicular to the graph 2x minus y equals negative 3. Write the answer in standard form. Okay, so this is going to be a little tricky. Alright, they're giving us this equation right there. And they're saying if we were to, let's go ahead and put a graph here. Let's say, for example, that the graph of this here looks like, let's just say it looks like that. I have no idea what it looks like, but let's just say it looks like that. What they're asking for is a graph or a line that goes through this point. So goes through, say, this point right here, negative 1, 4, and is perpendicular to that, which means it's going to go like that. And it'll be perpendicular to the green line and going through that point there. And if your point doesn't go through, you make the point bigger so it does. Okay, so that's what we're looking for, is that yellow line. A line that goes through this point and is perpendicular to the green line, or this equation right here. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now that you know what we're looking for, to make it a little bit easier to go ahead and solve. So, first thing we're going to do is we are going to write this in slope-intercept form. So if we can take that if we can come up with slope-intercept form, then it's easy to convert it to the standard form. So let's go ahead and write this. Alright, so first thing we want to do is we want to convert this to slope-intercept form so we can find out what the slope is on that, because remember, the slope of a perpendicular line is you flip the slope upside down and you put the opposite sign on it. So we have to find the slope of this line so that we can flip it upside down and put the opposite sign on it, and that will be the slope of the equation we're looking for. So y equals mx plus b is the format we're trying to get it in. So we're trying to get the y by itself. So subtract 2x from both sides, and then we don't want a negative, so we're going to change everything to a positive. So there is this equation in slope-intercept form. So now I know the slope is 2 over 1. So I know the perpendicular of it is negative 1 over 2. And that's the slope of the equation I want. So far, I have y equals negative 1/2 plus b. 1/2 x plus b. So I've got the slope part of it. Now I have to find the y-intercept part of it. Well, what other information do I have here? I was given a point here. So because I was given a point, and because I now have the slope, I can use, remember the point slope form, and the point slope form of an equation is y2 minus y1 equals m times x2 minus x1. Okay, remember that equation that they gave us? Now that I have a slope and I have a point, I can use this equation to get the rest of the information. Alright, so I'm going to leave the y2 alone. I'm going to put the 4 right here in here, and I know my slope is negative 1/2, and I've got an x2 minus, and then my negative 1 up there in the upper left is my x1. Okay, so let's keep going. I'm just going to kind of clean it up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to distribute, and let's kind of move some of the stuff around, trying to get rid of a bunch of junk here. Okay, there's what I want. Alright, so let's go ahead and distribute. We don't need the 2's there anymore because we only have one y and one x. Okay, so I multiplied that times that. Okay, so now I'm going to add 4. Which this is actually going to be 8 over 2, so I have common denominators, so I can add those. Okay. Okay, so now I have it in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. And we've got it in that form. Now we have a couple options here. We can get rid of the fractions by multiplying the entire thing by 2, if you want to do that, or you can leave it the way it is right there. And let's move up here. Okay, so there's what we've got right there. Now they're asking us to put it in standard form, which means we get our x's and our y's together. Okay, and we have an answer like that. If we want to leave it as a fraction, if you don't like the fractions, you multiply the whole thing by 2.